My name is Masha and Mikey,
Rock and Roll Roundtable.
proudly presented by our good friends over at Moshmin Media.
This week, unretired bands.
Unretired bands, in our definition, is bands that have committed to saying we're done and then, for whatever reason, decide to unretire and come back into the fold, and then a lot of times retire again, come back into the fold. Retire, come, retire. That
Yeah,
is kind of what I'm hitting on. Is I mean, I understand if you say you're going to retire from playing music and decide after a few months or a year or 2 years that, hey, I want to continue to play music. That is not in any way, shape, or form, at least Mush and Mikey over here, my issue. It's not nothing to do with that. Is my issue.
yeah,
I think my biggest issue with unretired bands is when they go on these long farewell tours
yeah.
and say, it's your last time you're ever going to get to see us. And please throw hundreds of fucking dollars to go to our last 10 shows and buy all these videos and buy all these special recordings. And then come back after that's over and come back 2 years later and act like nothing happened. It's like, oh, we decided we want to play again. Okay, well, why don't you just next time you decide to do that, just say, hey, we may or may not be back. We're not going to go crazy and make you pay 10 times the cost for a concert
Yeah,
just because we may or may not be back. Because some bands have took a big hiatus. We know that.
yeah,
But they didn't go out on a big farewell tour like Striper, one of my favorites. 15-year gap
yeah,
in band, where they didn't do anything. But they didn't say in 1990, "Hey, we're retired." They just said
yeah.
we got to do other things. We may or may not be back, and they showed back up.
So
And there's been plenty of bands.
your biggest issue is the bands that say, "Okay, this is the last time around," and blah blah blah, and the special merch and the fucking hoopla, and that's really what we're kind of going to touch on today, then, right?
Yeah, like
To a
for
point.
example, what I was a Kiss Army guy, and when I heard Kiss was calling it quits, I'm like, okay, storied career, man. You deserve. You're going out on top. Everybody still loves you. Yada yada. But we all know now that that was a farce. It was 25 years later, and they were still dicking around with going out 25 years after the original farewell tour.
Yeah.
And to top that off was Gene Simmons and them with they'll sell anything. They will sell anything that has Kiss on it. So you wondered how much of that was a shtick to get like extra money. That's kind of what I get mad about. Kiss was the first major one that made me upset.
Yeah.
But Motley Crue started in on that. We're
Yeah.
gonna be done. We're gonna do this and that, and they did for a little bit, and then that movie came out or whatever, and they decided they're gonna do it again. And then when Mick left, you would think, okay, this is it. Well, no, they go out and get John Five, and Vince's voice is shit, and they still kind of continue to say, well, we're gonna be done here. Make sure you come and see us, kind of thing. And
Well, and then they got the Las Vegas residency that they did.
yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, they take that off of Kiss. I mean,
yeah,
they're following that same uh what word am I looking for? The model,
same,
the
yeah, the
business
same vein.
model that
Yeah,
fucking Kiss started. Now, there's no issue with Kiss having merchandise. They've done
No,
it
no,
for
no.
years. I mean, you know what I'm saying? The
Yeah,
merchandise
I owned it.
probably keeps them going. So it's understandable to still sell merch. There's so much merch from every band. Every band's got to have a beer. Every band's got to have a whiskey. Every band's got to have blah 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 condoms. Got who knows
Yeah,
coffins.
yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, I understand the corporation, the band corporation needs to put out their stuff. Metallica sent me an email and they had all this shit they're trying to fucking push and sell. And it's like, you know, okay, but they haven't retired. So, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's kind of a gray area on what you got to do to fucking make your fucking moolah. So
Yeah,
I
and
understand it to a point.
it's not the merch that bothers me. It's when they sell farewell tour merch. Like
Okay.
this is the last
Okay.
merch you're ever going to get, and they gouge the prices, which we
Yes.
know they do.
Okay. Okay.
So, recent years, my biggest pet peeve was actually Slayer
Okay.
because the massive big deal that was made for Slayer to be done. Playing in their last show in California, it got live streamed. It was blah blah blah. And it's just they come back out and play these festivals now. It's like, well, you're not really retired yet. I mean, you're just kind of you took a break and you're not going to record any new music, but you're like Tommy Two Tone now. Tommy Two Tone can still go out and tour the country without having to do any new music. Evanescence, I just saw, not too long ago. They hadn't put out a full new album in 23 years, but they've never retired though. See,
Yeah.
that's my thing. They've
Okay.
never said we're retired. They might only do 5 shows a year, 10 shows a year. I don't care about that. Slayer only wants to do 3 or 4 shows a year. I don't care about that.
But it
But
was
why
the
did you?
whole we're done and
Yeah,
then okay.
yeah. Because people gave up a lot of shit to try to get to one of their last shows. I mean, they went in debt, just like people did for one of my newest pet peeves, Black Sabbath. Okay, we knew Ozzy was going to on his last show. We knew it was
Yeah.
coming, but Black Sabbath made a big deal of it. It's like it's going to be it. We're going to go out with our friend Ozzy here. Bill Ward's going to play the drums. We're going to be back to our and we're going to play this last show with Ozzy, and it's going to be great, and we're going to be done right off the sunset. No, no, no. See, they can't do that. So now they come out and announce the world tour in 2026 of like 10 or 12 cities. I don't know what it is. They're going to have a fucking hologram of Ozzy singing Black Sabbath shit.
No
Is that
way.
not? Yeah, that's a money grab that I can't get behind. That's
Wow.
ridiculous.
I,
It's like that's the kind of shit there that irritates me. Because
wow.
how many people from the United States drained their fucking life savings to fly to England to see that? And now next year they could go to Milwaukee or whatever, and, across the state where they live or whatnot, and see the same shit with Ozzy
Okay.
as a hologram.
Okay. Well, all right. So this also kind of touches on. I mean, they were retired because of people passing away. So basically, you does this? Are you trying to include like Pantera, which
I don't think
is a
Pantera should
tribute?
have.
It's a
Yeah,
tribute, and Sammy Hagar going out with Michael Anthony and Joe Satriani and doing a tribute so he could still play Van Halen songs. So it's not retired bands. It was those are kind of more tributes. So do those fall in
yeah.
the same thing?
No,
Because that's kind of
I'm
like
not
that's Slayer to a point as well.
No,
Because
because they had Gary in the band long before they said they were going to retire.
okay,
So
okay,
it's like Hanneman died quite a few years back,
yes,
and they didn't retire until 2019.
okay,
So it was set up, and I understand Carrie's got another band. Gary's still in Exodus. So it's like, okay, you got other stuff going on. That's fine. But why did you make the big production about it being your last show? That's
okay,
what
okay,
it kind of in the vein with Black Sabbath. If they said, this will be our last show with Ozzy, and we may do something with somebody else, I
yeah,
would have been like, okay, Black Sabbath can live forever for all I care. That's great.
yeah,
But to come out and say it's going to be it because it's not the same again, and then they're going to do 10 shows or whatever it is with a fucking hologram. It's the same kind of shit we talked about with Kiss with the Avatar things and
yeah, yeah,
Dio when they did the Dio stuff with the hologram. I'm not a fan of that. I
yeah,
just and it's fuck my opinion. People could say all day,
yeah, yeah,
"Oh, who cares what you think?" But that's why I have the show, and I'm allowed to have an opinion.
yeah,
And I'm not a fan of some of these tributes that come out, but other ones, it's like they at least didn't fool me. They didn't come out and say, "Oh, we're retired." It's like when Dimebag got shot, he was already not in Pantera.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
I mean he was playing with Damage Plan. It wasn't like he was in Pantera when he got shot.
yeah,
So for them, it wasn't like they retired. They were already on hiatus or whatnot. And after he died, and then of course Vinny dying, who was in Hell Yeah, he wasn't in Pantera either.
yeah,
You still had the two remaining guys in Pantera that had never really officially said we're done.
okay,
They had just said we're just not doing it right now because Dime left and Benny left, and so I didn't have an issue with that,
okay,
and I really don't have an issue with the Van Halen thing at all because they're not touring as Van Halen. They're
yeah,
touring
yeah,
as a tribute. I have more of an issue with David Lee Roth right now than I do with Sammy Hagar because David Lee Roth is butchering those songs so badly. It's like I understand you have the right to sing them, but what you're doing to them is not even comedic at this point. It's downright wrong. Have you heard any of the recordings of his recent shows? They're
uh,
terrible. They're
little
hard to
bits
listen.
and pieces, little bits and pieces,
And it's just like I understand he has every right to sing those. According to Wolfgang himself and
yeah,
Alex, David has the right to sing those songs.
yeah,
It's nothing you can do about it. But he's just doing a disservice, I think, to himself and to Van Halen. But that's another episode altogether
yeah, okay,
because they didn't retire either, really.
yeah,
When Eddie passed, they just said, "We're not doing this. We're
yeah,
just not going to do it. We're not announcing a world tour. We're not doing a
yeah,
retirement special. All this horse shit." And then recently, we've had some bands come out of exile, and I don't really know what you think about this, but what do you think of Lincoln Park? Do you consider that as them being on a hiatus? Do you think it was just because Chester died? Because Chester, honestly, he had went off and sang for Stone Temple Pilots for a couple years. He wasn't like in the band when he died. He was like doing other stuff. But they did to my memory, did Lincoln Park ever come out and say we're retired? I
no, I
don't
don't think
know.
they did. I don't
I
think
don't
they
think
did.
they did either. So I don't have as much a problem with them. I have more of a problem with them not rebranding somehow because I just don't see Lincoln Park.
Okay,
And it's this is wrong of me. I'll admit it 100%. I don't hear Lincoln Park and not think Chester Bennington right off the bat.
yeah,
I think Chester Bennington, Mike Shinoda, the back and forth they had, that Chester's voice, it's wrong of me. But when they put that girl in there, she might be a great performer, decent singer, all that. it just kind of, it's just like, it almost felt like, yeah, we're out of money. So we're going to go lean on our old legacy and we can put out a new album, but if it shits the bed, it shits the bed. We're still going to ride the Linkin Park name
Yeah.
all the way in. And people think the same thing about Pantera. They think the same thing about, what Rush is going to do. That's a big, with Rush coming back out next year. Does Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson have every right to continue playing Rush songs?
Yes.
Yeah. They never retired. Neil Peart passed away, just like you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
It's not so much the unretired band at that point, but kind of sort of is. Because you would just assume that you've been playing for 50 years or whatever it is, and your drummer guy passes away, and you kind of say you just kind of said it nonchalantly, but you were like, yeah, we're done. Some reason you're not done now. I
Well,
just
okay,
wonder what's
okay.
behind
So,
that a little bit.
so we'll touch on Rush. So, what did Neil Peart do in the band besides just being the drummer?
He
Because
wrote songs.
okay,
Yeah, he
so
was a
yes,
songwriter. Yeah.
the lyrics, right?
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah.
So the first Rush album, he was not the drummer, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So technically, he was a replacement drummer, but took the band to that next fucking level, right?
Yeah. Yeah. In my mind. Yeah.
So if Rush goes out and plays Rush songs and does not release an album, that kind of falls under we still want to play and we're kind of we're a bait. It's almost like a fucking tribute without being a tribute. So they're replacing Neil Peart, and I haven't heard that they're doing an album. So for
I
me,
haven't either.
it's like okay, they still want to play, and they want to play before it's too late, where you get the Ozzy and the fucking Ace, where they still want to perform and they go out loving what they do, but you can't
Yeah.
continue on with that the way it is. So we get a replacement drummer. I've heard this. I've heard her. She's an excellent drummer. So I'm looking at it like,
Yeah.
okay, it should be a good show. She can fill the shoes as far as performing Rush songs with the two original guys. Okay.
Yeah. It was just kind of crazy for me to see her drum kit, though. Her drum kit's like a standard kit that I would play.
Well,
And you know how Neil always how Neil's set was. I wonder if she's going to have to expand because he had roto toms and he had chimes. Is she going to try to emulate him or just kind of do her own thing with it? Which
yeah,
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, and I don't hold much malice down for guys like Rush. I think that they never really retired,
yeah,
like made a big deal about it because Neil passed away. They
yeah,
just had to retire, kind of, sort of. So yeah, I mean, some of those bands like you're talking about, Pantera and Rush and all that have they retire like by not
necessity.
by choice.
Yes,
Yeah, not by choice. Like,
they had to because
well,
of a key member being gone, or two key
yeah,
members in Pantera's case. Yes.
yeah. And it's like, well, let's bring up one like Aerosmith. They said that they were done doing shows because Steven's voice was gone. Blah blah blah. I don't remember them doing like a full blown long. We're going to do this a year tour because they couldn't. His voice was having problems. They called it.
Well, I
So
no, they. I think they did that last bit of shows. They were done. They were saying they were done,
yeah,
right?
yeah, but because of his voice, it wasn't like
Yeah,
because they were tired of playing and stuff. So if his voice improves and they come back, yeah, I mean, I kind of like, I just kind of wish some of them would let sleeping dogs lie because they're never going to be where they should be. And some bands can do it. Judas Priest, took time off and they were done for a while and got Rob back in and it was like a whole different rejuvenation for Judas Priest. So sometimes it works that way. Uh, but like Megadeth has just announced they want to do, the one last tour. They
Yeah.
want to do one more album and one
Yeah.
more tour. So here in my own brain, honestly, in my own brain, I'm thinking I will have to go to any lengths I can to see Megadeth one more time.
Yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of it gets into. And what happens if I say next year, I say, okay, they're only playing anywhere close to me is Daytona Beach, Florida or something.
Yeah.
No, yeah, for random. This is hypothetical. So I dump a few grand and go all the way to Daytona. So make sure I don't see, I don't miss them
Yeah.
for their last tour. And then, 6 months later, you know what? I think we're gonna do another tour.
Yeah.
That would piss me off.
Yes.
That's my goat right there.
Okay. Well, I mean, as far as Megadeth, I'm hoping he's like calling it. You know what I'm saying? If he
Yeah,
still wants to do shit afterwards, I'm sure he'll dick around with stuff here and there. But I'm hoping because of all the other disappointments we've had with the Motley Crues and the Kiss dragging the shit out instead of just saying, okay, we're done, but we still might get together and do some shows here and there. That's
yeah.
acceptable if they say it
If
from
you
the get.
say,
Yes.
yeah, exactly, say it that way, and I ain't got an issue with that.
So I'm hoping for Dave's sake that he's like, okay, this is the last tour. Maybe we'll get some more pressers where he comes out and talks about it and says, you know, the Megadeth thing is going to be done, but I still want to kind of do some stuff here and there, or I want to spend some time with my family. I might come back and do some stuff. We might even do a couple Megadeth shows. That would be more genuine to me than the last tour, final tour, blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm
then and
hoping,
then
I'm
that whole
hoping for his integrity as far as we're concerned, the nobodies are concerned. You know what I'm saying? Because we're nobody. We
yeah,
don't. You know.
I know that, but here's my whole thing. I get people that tell me all the time, "Well, why do you want your favorite bands to not play anymore?" That just doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, man, there's no way I want any of these bands to ever retire. I
Yes.
don't want them to. But when you do, and I come to grips with that,
Yes.
and I'm looking to the next band, or I'm looking back at this, and then they come back out, and sometimes they just come out and do shows. It's like, okay, whatever. I get that. You need a couple, IRA, you need a little more money in your savings, whatever. Okay, I get that. But when you come out, some of them come out and put out like subpar shit, like Kiss did for a long time. After they were going to be retired, they come out and put out like not very good music. That really starts to weigh on me because it's like, dude, when you said you were done, I came to grips with it. And then when you bring me back up, oh, there's new music from one of my favorite bands as a kid, blah. And it's a turd. It's just a solid turd that's not very good. It's like that, it's so disheartening. And it's
Yeah.
like, I just, maybe I overthink it. And I probably do. I overthink a
Yeah.
lot of things. But it's like, even with some like Down and these bands that have never really been a full time band for anybody.
Yeah.
When they get me all hyped up and say we're going to do new music next year, we're going to do this tour, it would be almost the same as a band that retires and comes back with subpar crap, or you get the reverse of that. A band that's kind of been around for 30 years, but have never committed to it, or committing to it for a year, and they're going to, that makes me the opposite. I'm really excited that they're
Yeah.
going to do that. But if they would call it off, then I would be, oh, buh. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing, when these bands retire, and only the ones that are disingenuous about it really aggravate me. The
Yeah.
Kisses and Motley Crues. And I'm sure there's more I'm missing that have done this. And I'm trying to, Black Sabbath, that really irritated. Black Sabbath
Yeah.
one irritated me a lot. Um, the tribute bands, no, I don't have an issue with that. And there would be a whole nother episode if we went and talked about bands that shouldn't be returning. You know, Stone Temple Pilots, like we got a new singer when Weiland passed. They never retired, but we got a new singer. They made it. I mean, they're successful enough. Queensryche, with the whole breaking up with Jeff Tate, they have overcome that, and they've got a great singer. And maybe even Emily Armstrong will be the answer for Linkin Park. Their music will continue to get better, and they'll get their
Yeah.
fan base back. And she might be, she might well exceed anybody's expectations, because you can't replace her with Chester. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what Soundgarden's going to sound like. They are doing their Rock and Roll Introduction Hall of Fame thing
Yeah.
with Taylor Momsen on vocals. She is from the Pretty Reckless. So
Yeah.
there we go again. And Soundgarden's another one. We talked about before, which
Yes.
wasn't so pleasant. But now they're going to have another female sing. I don't get that. Why are we switching genders all of a sudden? I understand, like the Rush thing. Okay, this lady's just a good drummer. I don't care what gender she. But for me, Chris Cornell did not have a feminine sounding voice. He had a very strong kind of
Well,
voice. So it's
I
like,
mean, okay, let's look at it. Let's look at this from a music aspect. So it's very hard for guys to, if they do the high stuff, like Sebastian and Jeff Tate. So if they bring in a female who can hit higher notes easier and blend it in and maybe do a backing like we saw with Operation Mindcrime.
yeah,
She was in the background and he was still singing, but when he wasn't hitting those extremely high notes, they had her kind of doubling his vocals up. You know what I'm saying? So maybe
yeah, I know.
maybe it's that aspect that they're like, okay, at least we know having an accomplished singer, a female accomplished singer come in to do this, that they can still hit these higher notes that Cornell did. And you know what I'm saying? Maybe that's the reason. It's speculation at this point, but
Yeah, I mean,
you
I
know what
I
I'm
think I would
saying?
be more. I think I would be more okay with it if it was like the Kids. Like Cornell's daughter is a singer. If she was singing for it, I'd be like, okay. If Frances Bean Cobain sang Nirvana stuff, I'd be more okay with that.
Okay.
When Dave Grohl's daughter comes out and sings Foo Fighters stuff, I'm okay, because it's more I guess, in the family. I don't know. It's just weird choices sometimes that these guys pick for a replacement, and it's none of my business.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, you know, I don't know.
Well,
It just
but okay,
it
but
would rub me the wrong way.
at the same time, you are a fan and a consumer of the product. So
Right.
you are consuming the product. It does, if your opinion, if you have that opinion and I have this opinion, there are other people out here that have that same opinion. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure there
So
is somebody.
I'm
Somebody,
sure.
yeah.
I'm sure. So that is going to have an outcome for that band that is pushing this product or show or what, however you want to put it. That can have adverse effects. So it is, if you break it down into a marketing strategy, you want to continue, you want to put out product for a consumer, it's going to have adverse effects, whether they're good or not. I mean, Taylor
Yeah.
Momsen coming in and singing Soundgarden stuff, it might be a cool show, but is he
It
planning
might
on
be.
doing new stuff and
Yeah,
have her
and
sing? You know what I'm saying? It's
I don't think they are. I think it's more for
the rock and roll.
the rock and roll hall. And to be honest, I don't know how many people care about Rock and Roll Hall of Fame anymore
Yeah,
because it's just it's so weak, man. You got some of these bands in there, then you don't have bands like the Judas Priest forever and Iron Maidens
yeah,
forever, So, but anyway, and I think it does matter if you're just going on tour or if you're doing a new album. Like Linkin Park, they did a whole album. They had a whole new album with her, but they're one of those. I call them grandfathered in because they never officially retired that I know of.
yeah, yeah.
They never pulled out the stunt of being
No,
this,
no,
the final goodbye and all this shit. Well, Black Sabbath's done it twice now.
yeah,
Okay, so I think maybe that's what eats at my crawl. They did the original goodbye in Birmingham with the drummer from Rage Against the Machine because they were having issues against Bill Ward or whatnot.
yeah,
But that was the 13 album, and that was Ozzy on that album. So they did that, and then you thought, okay, they're gone. Then they come back for this show with Ozzy, understandable because they know Ozzy's
yeah. In bad
close to
shape.
the end.
Yeah,
But then why do this bullshit next?
yeah.
Why do that? That doesn't mean. I mean, I get it. You can do whatever you want, but why make it like it's a big special occasion that it's the last time you're gonna play? Now maybe they could squeak through the line and say this is the last time us four are gonna play. Maybe they said it, but even then, you're using a fucking hologram.
yeah,
No, come on, don't do
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Just don't do that. When they did it with Dio, I about threw up.
yeah,
It's like don't do that, man. Just if you want to replace him, replace him, but don't use their shit for financial gain. Using their image and their likeness and their voice because you don't want to take a chance by replacing them with somebody that ends up not as good. Just kind of a shitty situation to
yeah,
me.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not against unretiring. I am because, dude, there's not a day goes by I don't want to play music again.
yeah,
But I didn't make I wasn't in a big huge band that said I'm officially retiring and this is my last show ever. I just said, well, this is going to be it, and if I ever get to play again, I do. If I don't, I don't. It's kind of that way.
yeah,
And I've played like one off show here and a couple songs here with people, and I've done so. It's like never officially retired, but if I ever say I'm never doing another show again, I will never do another show again. That'll be my point,
yeah,
because I don't want to
yeah,
lie to myself. I wouldn't want to lie to anybody else. So hopefully some of these bands get that, that you can't keep yo-yoing your fans or they're going to
yeah,
hate you in the end. And it's like, why do that?
yeah.
Just be honest with us. Dave, Dave Mustaine, please. Just be honest. If you're going to maybe play another show after next year, just tell us, hey,
Yeah, throw
I
it out
don't
there.
know
Throw
what
it
the
out
future
there.
holds. Yeah, I don't know what the future holds, but this is my last planned show.
Yeah,
But I may come back and do something else. I would be okay with that.
yeah.
But fuck Kiss, fuck Motley Crue, all that bullshit they did. I don't like any of that stuff. So
Still, hey,
interesting. This is an off subject today. It was a
yeah.
different kind of subject. There's a lot of scenarios that go into this.
I still love my classic Motley Crue.
Yeah, of
I
course.
haven't seen him with John 5, but
I have,
I
yeah.
really don't. I don't want to go through that pain. Like you said, you put it to rest and say, okay, I've come to peace with this is going to be it, and
Yeah.
and then you get that comeback shit, and it's like, all right, whatever, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just I guess I'm too old and bitter. I don't want
Yeah.
to do it. No. Good
All
enough.
right. Are you ready to wrap it up, Mikey?
Yeah, yeah, I believe so.
All right. This is Skeet.
I'm Mosh and Mikey.
See ya!
Peace out.